You're at a concert or watching a perfect sunset, and you look around, and it's just a sea of phones. Everyone is trying to capture the moment, but then you spot them.
Yeah, that person. The one who, when someone asks to tag them in a photo, just casually says, "Oh, I'm not really on social media." And the conversation just kind of stops. Everyone looks at them like they just landed from another planet. They're this total anomaly, right? An outlier in our super connected world.
But what if we're looking at it all wrong? What if they aren't some kind of outcast? What if they're actually a signpost, pointing us towards something that most of us have lost without even realizing it? Maybe they're protecting a part of themselves that the rest of us have willingly given away.
Let's be real. In the world we live in today, choosing to log off isn't just a personal preference, it's a radical act. And what's fascinating is that neuroscience is starting to show that the brains of these people might just be wired differently, allowing them to resist a pull that, let's face it, most of us have completely fallen for.
So to really get why some people opt out, we first have to understand why the other, 4.9 billion of us, are so completely captivated. So let's dive into what's actually happening inside our brains every single time we pick up our phones and start to scroll. And here's the thing, this isn't about weak willpower, it's about brain chemistry, it's about wiring. You see, social media platforms are masters at tapping directly into the most ancient, primitive parts of our brain, that deep human need for connection, for validation, for belonging to the tribe. And they do it with a very specific chemical, dopamine. You've heard of it, right? The brain's reward chemical. Every time you get a like, a comment, a share, ping, you get a little hit of dopamine. And these platforms, they were built by very smart people, including behavioral psychologists, to do exactly that. They're designed to be as addictive as possible, creating this endless loop. You post, you get the reward, and you're left craving the next hit.
But of course, there's a flip side to this, a much darker one. Because every time you're scrolling, your brain is doing something else. It's unconsciously measuring your own messy, complicated, behind-the-scenes life against everyone else's perfectly curated highlight reel. It is a game of comparison you are literally designed to lose.
And look, this isn't just a feeling. The science is crystal clear on this. A major study from the University of Pennsylvania found that just cutting your social media use down to 30 minutes a day can significantly reduce feelings of depression and loneliness. That's huge. But what about the people who aren't on it at all? Well, the research points to even lower rates of anxiety and, you guessed it, higher overall life satisfaction.
Okay, so that brings us back to our original question. What makes some people seemingly immune to this magnetic pull? What is going on psychologically with the folks who can just look at all of this and say, nah, not for me?
Well, the huge piece of the puzzle seems to be where they get their sense of validation. See, most people on social media are running on what's called extrinsic motivation. That's validation from the outside, the likes, the comments. But the people who opt out, they tend to operate on intrinsic motivation. The good feeling comes from within. They don't need 200 people to like their vacation photo to feel like it was a good vacation. The experience itself, that's the reward.
And this goes even deeper than psychology, right down to the physical hardware of our brains. So heavy social media use has been shown to actually decrease activity in the prefrontal cortex. Now that's the part of your brain that's like the CEO. It handles focus and impulse control. When it's underactive, you get that feeling of, you can't focus, you read the same paragraph over and over. Well, people who stay offline are, just by default, exercising that part of their brain every single day. They can sit with a book or just be in a conversation without that constant nagging itch to check their phone.
Okay, but let's add a really important piece of nuance here. We have to be honest. Why a person is offline matters a lot. Is it an intentional choice? Is it someone saying, you know what, this doesn't serve me, I'm choosing something else? Because that's empowerment. Or is it someone hiding, someone avoiding it out of a fear of judgment? That's more like fear-based isolation. One is a choice made from strength, the other is a defense mechanism.
And for the people who are truly in that empowered camp, they've usually had a kind of aha moment, a key realization. They've figured out that most of what we call social media isn't really social at all. It's performance. It's theater. Every post is like a little audition for approval, a calculated move in this big, invisible game of status. And they've simply decided they don't want to play. So what does that life actually look like? When you stop spending all that energy curating and broadcasting and scrolling, what do you actually get back? Well, as it turns out, the benefits are incredibly tangible.
I want you to think about a number for a second. 38. What is that? That is the number of full 24-hour days that the average person spends on social media every single year. We're talking more than a full month of your life every year, just gone.
So, let me ask you, what would you do with that time? What would you do with an extra 38 days a year, an entire extra month every single year to actually live your own life instead of just scrolling through pictures of other people living theirs?
Well, the people who reclaim those 38 days, they invest them. They pour that time into real-world relationships that go deeper. They create things for the pure joy of it, not for how it will look to an algorithm. They're out there building actual, tangible memories instead of just manufacturing content. And maybe most importantly, they get to experience this profound freedom of just being a person, not a personal brand. This all gets at a really powerful psychological concept called continuous partial attention. And you know exactly what this feels like. It's that state of being always half present. One part of your brain is always listening for that next notification. People who log off escape that trap. When they're having a conversation with you, they are actually with you. And here's a really practical tip if you want a taste of this. Next time you sit down with a friend, don't just put your phone face down. Put it completely away. Out of sight, in a bag, in another room. Just that one simple act starts to reclaim your attention from the digital world and put it right back here in the real one.
So when you boil it all down, this isn't about being anti-technology, not at all. It's about a fundamental choice. It's about consciously choosing to prioritize a different way of being in the world.
Because at the end of the day, a social media platform is just a tool. That's it. It's like a hammer or a screwdriver. It isn't inherently good or evil. But, like with any powerful tool, you have to ask yourself a very, very important question. Are you using the tool, or is the tool using you? Are you really in control, or has an algorithm hijacked your brain for profit? Is it a conscious choice to be there, or is it a mindless, compulsive habit? The people who don't use social media, they've just answered that question honestly for themselves. And that really is the bottom line. Your life is already valid. It's already worthwhile. A beautiful moment doesn't become more beautiful because it was broadcast to an audience. The only validation that actually sticks, the only kind that truly lasts, is the kind that comes from the inside. In our modern economy, your attention is the most valuable thing you own. It is the ultimate currency. And every moment you spend mindlessly scrolling is a moment you've given away, a piece of your life handed over to someone else's agenda. The people who log off, they've simply decided to take their most valuable asset back.
So, the final question is for you. If you were to reclaim just a fraction of that attention, of that time, of that mental energy, what would you do with it? What amazing parts of your own unbroadcasted, unfiltered life would you choose to build?
If this helped, drop a comment right now. Thanks for watching. Dzień dobry, hit subscribe, and I'll see you next time.